In this video, I race a real go-kart in real life at the F1 Experience in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London and have a great time, mostly, and all from an older karter's perspective. A little known fact about the older gamer: despite being English, I do in fact live in Germany and only visit England for the occasional holiday. The most recent of these trips saw me visiting the new $1 billion stadium in North London, home to Tottenham Hotspur, and also the F1 Experience, an indoor go-kart track equipped with electric go-karts and a number of motion rig simulators. And while I was in the area, it seemed rude not to give it a visit. But after years of driving a sim rig, how did I get on with driving the real thing? And how shattered would my 60-year-old body feel at the end of it all? Let's find out.
I have a bad feeling about this.
First impressions. The new stadium at White Hart Lane in London is as overwhelmingly impressive on the outside as the prices are in the gift shop. Most people were there for the stadium tour, but we gave that a miss, quickly entering the darkened underground lair of the F1 Drive experience. There is a lot going on here, including an area where you can rip the nuts off an F1 car, and two teams can also compete to get the fastest wheel-changing times. It's a simple and yet brilliant idea that certainly got me in the mood for racing. The main event is, of course, the go-kart, all electric, but with some added engine noises just to make you feel like you're driving a real F1 car, except without the speed, or the downforce, or Max Verstappen whizzing past you.
An H. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
These karts are little technological marvels, whizzing round a well-laid-out twisty track at some hair-raising speeds, and equipped with a sort of turbo button that you can activate at various spots on the track to gain an advantage or two. If you watch Formula E, you will know what to do, and the boost you get from this is truly breathtaking. There is also another button that is supposed to simulate drafting, but I had less luck getting that to work. In the main, these are normal go-karts, albeit electric. They are perhaps a bit wider and perhaps a bit longer than a normal go-kart, and the impression I got while driving one is it's also slightly heavier than the run-of-the-mill petrol go-kart. But by just standing on the side and watching them drive by, you can tell they are fun. Getting equipped, briefed, and in the car. Before the race, we were all issued a set of overalls. However, one of my group, who needs an XL size for the waist but also has a short inside leg measurement, was disappointed to find this size variation did not exist, and ended up with a much longer leg than they needed. This resulted in too much material of the suit being bunched up behind the knees, which didn't allow their leg to bend enough to actually get into the kart. This meant that sadly they had to give up the chance to race. There are plenty of sizes available from large adults to small children, so it seemed odd that short adults with larger waistbands were not catered for. It's an oversight that I hope is corrected in the near future. After getting changed, I was shown a 15-minute briefing, which was, well, okay. I mean, it's not dull as such, but it did at least have some music, some fast karts, and it was mercifully short, and soon we were strutting towards the track like we were just about to start at Brands Hatch. Once I'd been given a helmet big enough for my glasses and hearing aid to fit under, I was led to my kart that handily displayed my profile photo on screen in the steering wheel. I used my older gamer profile photo, which I supplied to the company when I booked the session. Getting into the kart for me was fine, but when I attempted to push the seat back, I found it only goes so far, and at 6'2", my knees were still mostly under my ears. It wasn't that uncomfortable, but with another centimetre or two of seat movement, I felt the driving position could have been better. Been a while since I was in an actual kart, so maybe this is a perennial problem for karts. If you are a kart driver and tall, let me know in the comments below if this is an issue for you. Out on track. Out on the track, the kart drives like you would expect a kart to drive. The steering is heavier than you would think for something this size, and the back end is prone to slipping with a rapidity not suggested by the kart's relatively low speed, but at least the nose felt pointy, going exactly where I told it to. Once I summoned up the muscle power to actually rotate the steering wheel, the boost button provided more fun than I thought it would. It felt like a real kick in the pants as the acceleration picked up and the walls of the circuit rushed by. It's thrilling stuff, but the tight, twisty curves appear to be designed to dampen the need for speed, with only one straight that comes out of a tight hairpin, so there is little chance to gain any speed remotely approaching ludicrous.
Ludicrous speed!
Sitting about an inch off the floor, it feels like you are flying along, but from the sidelines, the reality of the curves slowing down the drivers is very apparent. Another thing to slow and even stop the drivers is the flag system. At the start and between crashes, you are of course seeing a green flag, depicted with green neon lighting overhead and the LCD screen lighting up green. However, once a driver crashes, that part of the track gets a yellow flag, and automatically the power to all cars in that section of the track, and I assume some other sections, is cut. Once past the crashed driver, the flag goes green again, and we are once more all at full power. But there were a lot of yellow flags, and again, the need for speed was often curtailed by suddenly finding the power to your kart cut to almost nothing. Other than that, considering I was racing with a completely unknown field, the actual racing was fairly clean. I did get rammed twice in the back by the same driver, which, believe me, you do feel more than haptic feedback would suggest, but that particular driver must have been doing this a lot, because eventually they got a black flag and had to retire from the race. If you go to this karting arena, be aware that a black flag in a race can earn you a lifetime ban.
So don't do it.
What did I think of the experience? The karts themselves are very cool and easy to drive. The addition of an LCD screen with your name and image is a nice touch. And the controls to boost, while in my personal experience not always functioning exactly as described, did add an element of fun and excitement to the whole event. Learning the track is easy enough despite the curves, and if you are lucky and stay out of trouble, then you can get a decent lap time here. A fast time on this track is apparently 44 to 46 seconds. I managed 51 seconds on the practice session, and then on the so-called race session I shaved that down to a respectable 48 seconds. Still some way to go to get to 44 seconds, but I think for my second time on the track I wasn't doing too bad. I originally signed up for a super circuit, which is 500 metres and 17 turns, but still running the sprint format. The sprint session comprises of two events that run back to back. One practice and another, well, it's called a race, but in reality it's essentially yet another practice session. That being said, it is fun. It's just not a proper race, and the prospect of catching the first driver out of the pits when you are the last driver out of the pits is very remote and a little soul destroying for anyone who believes they have booked an actual race session. However, once you accept it for what it is, you effectively racing you, a sort of hot lap event with more than one kart on track, you will find it can be fun and a challenging experience, and at times even exciting, as you settle into a private race with whomever is around you. One thing that did surprise me was how physical these karts are to drive, although I did think the height of the steering wheel contributed to this overtly physical effort by being a little high. Indeed, after the first 15-minute practice session, I could clearly feel the muscles in my arms singing me some pain songs. I can't remember karting being so physical, but it has been a long time since I've done it. However, I can say, in comparison, a direct drive wheel is much less stress on the arms. Either way, after two 15-minute races, I was totally done, and on the final laps of the second session, I was pretty much praying for the checkered flag. Other than kart driving, the F1 Drive offers a very slick experience. There is plenty to do off-track while waiting to race or after the race, including the F1 tyre change I mentioned earlier, and a bar with a cafe for food and drinks. And there was also some sim racing. one of the things I most look forward to after my kart race, as this uses the F1 2023 software and a motion rig like this one, which probably costs an eye-watering amount of money. Close up, it looks awesome, and I would love to tell you what it feels like to ride this motion rig, but sadly I can't, as my pre-booked sim racing session was cancelled without warning, apparently because another group had booked exclusive use of the venue. And almost straight after the kart race, we were asked to leave as quickly as possible. F1 did issue me with a refund for the sim racing I never actually got.
No, that deal sucks.
But considering I was there with a friend celebrating his 60th birthday and that I had flown all the way from Germany to race karts and drive the sim rigs, it was a crushing disappointment to find my booking was no longer seen as valid because of reasons. These sim race sessions only last 15 minutes, so why they couldn't just let my group have our money's worth before kicking us out, I have no idea. Instead, we were ushered out with very little grace, and this left a bad taste. Conclusion. The staff at the F1 Drive are wonderful. They are patient, on the ball, and seemed always willing to go the extra mile. Every single one of them was a joy to meet and interact with. So it's a shame that their IT department dropped the ball so badly for my group booking. I was very disappointed that after all the effort of organising this trip, my booking was cancelled as though it really didn't matter. Another disappointment was finding that GoPro cameras are not allowed on the track. Yes, the FAQs do mention that I can't use a GoPro, but I could be forgiven for missing this given the wealth of videos on YouTube that seem to contradict that rule. I don't know. Perhaps I just don't understand the situation. I think maybe it should have been a more prevalent feature of the booking form. I can't be the only one who wants to use a GoPro for this type of event, and I can't be the only one that goes there and is disappointed to find that they can't. Let me know in the comments below if you've not been able to use a GoPro on this track or any other karting track. Of course, next time I book something like this, I will read the small print a little more closely, if indeed there is a next time. Mistakes happen, sure, but when that mistake does happen, I would assume the company would send me an apology, or a gift voucher, or something. Instead, all I got was a refund for something I never got to do, but travelled miles to be there to do it. A downbeat ending to what should have been a great day. If you've been to the F1 Drive experience, let me know in the comments what you thought of the visit. And most importantly, did you get to try out the sim racing? I would really love to know if I missed out on something worthwhile. In the meantime, I hope you found this video helpful, and until the next one, race clean, and I'll see you on track. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.